There was a time when his name meant hope, when soldiers followed his command without hesitation, when kings trusted him, when people believed he was chosen for greatness. He was not just a nobleman. He was not just a warrior. He was something more. He was a symbol of victory, a symbol of power, a symbol of France itself. His name was Gilles de Rais. But history does not remember him only for what he was. History remembers him for what he became. And the truth behind his transformation remains one of the most disturbing mysteries ever recorded. Because Gilles de Rais was not born a monster. He became one. And the path that led him there began with glory. Gilles de Rais was born in 1405. He entered a world already shaped by privilege. His family was among the most powerful in France. Land stretched for miles under their control. Castles stood tall in their name. Wealth surrounded him from the moment he opened his eyes. But wealth does not protect against tragedy. Before he reached adulthood, both of his parents were gone. Death had taken them, leaving behind a child with enormous power and no guidance. He was raised by his grandfather, a man known for ambition, a man who believed power must be protected at all costs. Under his grandfather's control, Gilles learned what it meant to rule. He learned what it meant to command. He learned what it meant to live above others. But he also learned something else. He learned how fragile power could be. Because beyond the castle walls, France was falling apart. War had consumed the land, and Gilles would soon become part of it. France was losing. Enemy forces advanced across the kingdom. Villages burned. Cities surrendered. Fear spread faster than hope. The future of France seemed uncertain. And then, everything changed. A young girl appeared. She claimed she heard the voice of God. She claimed she was sent to save France. Her name was Joan of Arc. Most people did not believe her. But Gilles did. He saw something others did not. He saw purpose. He saw destiny. And he chose to stand beside her. Together, they entered battle. Together, they faced impossible odds. And together, they began to win. Victory after victory. The impossible became reality. France began to rise again. And Gilles de Rais became a hero. He was rewarded with the title Marshal of France, one of the highest honors a man could receive. He was young, powerful, respected, admired. He had everything. But war does not end when the fighting stops. War follows you. It stays with you. It changes you. And sometimes it destroys you. Joan of Arc was captured. She was put on trial. She was abandoned. And she was executed. Burned alive. Gilles was not there to save her, he could not stop it. And something inside him broke. The purpose that had guided him was gone. The mission that had defined him was over. For the first time in years, he had nothing to fight for. He returned to his castles. But he did not return as the same man. He returned changed, quieter, colder, more distant. The hero of France had disappeared, and in his place stood someone else. He withdrew from public life. He surrounded himself with only a few trusted individuals. He spent enormous amounts of money. More money than anyone thought possible. Lavish displays, grand performances, strange private activities. People began to notice. People began to talk. Rumors spread. Quietly at first. Then louder. Servants whispered. Villagers avoided his lands. Something was wrong. Something no one could explain. The man who had once inspired hope now inspired fear. But no one dared confront him. Because he was still powerful, still respected, still dangerous. And power protects itself. Until it doesn't. In 1440, everything changed. Authorities moved against him. Gilles de Rais was arrested. The Marshal of France. The national hero. No, standing accused. The trial began. It was long, complex, disturbing. Witnesses came forward. Testimonies were given. The hero of France was no longer seen as a hero. He was seen as something else. Something darker. Something unimaginable. And eventually, he confessed. Whether that confession was truth or something forced remains debated to this day. But the outcome was inevitable. He was sentenced to death. On On the 26th of October, 1414, Gilles de Rais faced his execution. The man who had once stood beside kings now stood alone. The man who had once commanded army now commanded nothing. The man who had once been admired now faced judgment. His life ended, but his story did not, because stories like his do not disappear. They remain, waiting to be remembered, to be questioned, to be understood. What transforms a hero into something else? Was it war? Was it power? Was it loss? Or was it something that had always existed, hidden beneath the surface? History gives us answers, but it also leaves us questions, and sometimes the questions are more terrifying than the answers, because the truth is, monsters are not always born. Sometimes they are made. You are watching Pastora, where history speaks, and the past is never truly silent.